Hi everybody, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we are doing videos today on, or this video today in particular, is on elderberry. And we're going to go through every single one of my books that talks about elderberry, or elder, in witchcraft. I found out that when looking in the index, it calls it not only elderberry, but also elder. So how many books do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like 12 or 13 books on elderberry. And then I have some fresh berries that were picked 4 or 5 days ago. And some of them are already starting to dry, so that's a good example of kind of what they look like when you fresh pick them and what they look like when you really start to... Thanks, Kitty. I appreciate that. She says, I really love your videos. Welcome to the Taxidermy Witch family. I haven't seen you on the chat much, but I hope to see you much, much more. So here are the elderberries that Alex collected. They're starting to dry already. But as you can see, they're really beautiful, like light lavender, kind of like purpley blue color. And then once they start to dry, they dry like juniper berries do, but they're smaller. So they really get just small and like they look like a peppercorn kind of when they're dried. So one, I'll tell you, we'll be talking about this medicinally in this video as well, and you know, just from 1 or 2 different books that I've got, and then also something that I make that is a recipe of a friend of mine, and I'll share that recipe and then what it looks like after I made it with you, or after I made it. And I do believe I made a video on the elderberry cold stuff. So I'm just going to say hello to everyone as a collective and say hello to everybody that's here. Thank you for all of your loving, warm hellos. And we've got a lot to cover and a lot to talk about. So I'm hoping that we get to it all. Yes, yes, yes. Get to it all. I'm going to probably leave the elderberries here probably just so we can kind of look at them, yeah, while I read. And so actually one of the first books we're reading from is by Maureen and Bridget Boland, the British sisters, and we're reading out of Old Wives' Lore for Gardeners, Incorporating Gardener's Magic. The enchanting bestsellers available for the first time in 1 volume. Now these are from the 70s, so these are older books, but Tess, who's here in the chat, sent me these awesome books, and I love them every time I read them. Now the page that we're reading from is page 96 at the bottom, where when I looked up in the back it mentions elder. And it's under spraying, and it says, plants that are subject to mildew may with advantage be sprayed occasionally with a decoration of elder leaves. O wadsome power, the gifty Gaius, of abolishing black spot for A, but I know none. A lot of this book is spoken in like old wives' tongue as well. I don't know what else to call it besides old wives' tongue. But yeah, so that's what it says, is about the elder leaves, and those we've got just here. Here are the elder leaves. So I think it is saying that it will help with mildew and pests, like maybe as a natural... What did you guys get from that? Tess, what did you get from that bit of the reading there? Alright, next we'll read out of Earth Power by Scott Cunningham. And I found elder. Where did I find it? Oh, under purification herbs. Elder fell under that. Purification herbs. And that shows up in Appendix 3, which is at the back of the book. And it's just got, I think, like 111 general herbs, and then they're kind of classes that they lay in. It's really cool. So that's what we got on Elderberry out of Earth Power. Next of Scott Cunningham's we're on to is the Magical Household. Now this is the one that he collaborated with David Harrington on, and they worked together at some point before Scotty passed away. And then I found it under Elder, page 108 and page 110. And then Elder Twig, which of course we have here. Right there's the twig, in the middle is the leaf, and at the top is the berry, okay? So having this branch, you have 3 different parts, okay? 3 different parts to work with there. So let's look up the Elder Twig first, page 140. I put my Etsy and the channel Patreon in the description if you guys want to help support the channel. Or if you need anything magical coming your way, look at the Etsy shop, but those are both in the description. So on page 140 of Magical Household, in the section called the Magical Year, it's talking about to guard your home against the intense magical powers at work on Beltane, mark a cross in the hearth with ashes, a cross in the hearth ashes with a hazel twig, or carry elder twigs 3 times around the house. So you could take some elder twigs, carry them 3 times around the house to protect against these intense magical powers that work on Beltane. Okay, then hang them inside or place them outside over the door. And I know B. Young is going to be interested in that because she always likes to do those like evil eye and protection wards kind of right at the front of her house. So B, I'm sure that when you hear this, you'll be thinking that, since I made you something, that chicken's foot ward for your front door, which I know that you enjoy. Okay, so next we're on to just Elder, and it says page 108 and 110. And on page 108, again we're in Magical Household, under Elder, it says that in an anti-theft sachet, you can have caraway, rosemary, juniper, and elder, or mistletoe. So maybe elder and mistletoe are a good substitution for each other. At least in this one they could be. And then on page 110, and this is all within the protection chapter of Magical Household. So protective, you know, these twigs and the elder itself. Where are we going to be here? It says, as discussed earlier, herbs are popular household protectants. Try the following recipe for more herbal protection. Take equal parts of the following: basil, elder, valerian, marjoram. Potato. No potatoes, though. Using your hands and working over a bowl, squeeze these herbs into a powder. Now walk through the house, moving clockwise from room to room, scattering the herb powder lightly so that it is evenly spread in every room. This will bring protection, good fortune, peace, and security from attackers and thieves. This just sounds like a great general protection for the home, you guys. I will definitely be incorporating some parts of this elder, probably the leaves, if we're crushing this up with our hands. Probably the leaves into a powder. So there's that. Okay. That was 3 bits on elder twigs on page 140, and then page 108 and page 110 on just elder. Okay, next we're on to Magical Herbalism, The Secret Craft of the Wise by Scott Cunningham. And I found elder. Let me tell you where I found it. In the quick 111 basic herbs that is a section in this book. Basically, it's a little mini version of this in this book. So let me read that to you. And I know that you guys can tell that I'm super trained. I don't even want to say this right now. My cat Chloe passed away this morning, and we had to deal with that today. So, yeah, all of my family, all of our love is there right now. But I missed you guys, and I wanted to be here. So, elder. The name of elder is Sambucus canadensis. Sambucus canadensis. Sambucus canadensis. That's elder. Folk names are Yakori, Bengestro, or Devil's Eye, or Lady Elder, or Frau Holly, or Rob Elder, Hollander, Elhorn, Pipe Tree, Bower Tree, Boar Tree, Sweet Elder, Tree of Doom, Old Lady, probably my favorite one, Bat Tree, and Old Gal. I like Old Lady and Old Gal the best out of all those, probably. Sweet Elder, Tree of Doom. So on to say, what does it say about elder? The element is air. The associated deities are Holda, Holdeda, and Venus. The parts used are the leaves, berry, and flower, which we have the leaves and berry here. We don't have the flower, but we do have twig. Which is funny he doesn't mention twig here, because just in this book he talked about twig. I think this book was written before this book. Maybe that's why. And he just finally added some in about the twigs here. But we do know from the same author that we do use the twigs to mark a cross in our... No, to carry around the house 3 times and then hanging the cross above the door for protection of the house to ward away evils at Beltane. See? We absorbed some information, and that's good news. Alright, so on with elder. The element is air. Deities Holda, Venus. The parts used, leaves, berries, flowers, and twigs. Basic powers, purification, and love. Now remember, Scotty doesn't in general say the word cleansing herbs. He talks about purification herbs. So if you're looking up herbs for cleansing and you're like, why am I not finding any? It's because we call it purification in this book. Right? Makes sense? Okay. Basic powers, purification, and love. Specific uses. Scatter the berries and the leaves to the 4 winds to protect. The branches are often used for fashioning magical wands. So if I were to have taken bigger parts of the tree. Stand beneath the elder and you will never be struck by lightning. It is not advisable to stand beneath any tree during a lightning storm. It says in parentheses after that. And I'm glad that it does say that because, you know, why test it? And some people surely would. And that would not probably turn out so well. So that gave us a lot of information in this little book here. Like I say, this book is like a mini version of this. It only has about 111 in the Encyclopedia style of the herb chapters, but still, it's got some really wicked advice. God, I just feel like I can't catch my breath here. I really hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody had a really, really safe, happy 4th. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. While we're on this little break, I will say that we're on to chapter 4, the ancestral offerings chapter of this. I'm hoping I have energy to read it tonight in a separate video, but we will see. You know, I can't promise anything. We will see. But that'll be a great chapter, and I'm excited to do more reading on that for my next video. Alright, so American Elder is what it comes up in the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs by Scott Cunningham. Again, Sambucus canadensis. Sambucus canadensis. Ripe fruit, all other parts can be used. Folk names, we've already gone through them. They're pretty much all the same, except for it'll tell you where some of them are from, whether it's, you know, France, Germany, etc. The gender is feminine. The planet is Venus. The element is water. The deities are Holda and Venus, which we learned in the other book. Powers, exorcism, protection, healing, prosperity, and sleep. Okay. Exorcism, protection, healing, prosperity, and sleep. The ritual uses, can a mod tell me if I'm doing well, like, what's that word? I can never think of. Buffering. No buffering, right? Am I good on that? Am I speaking loud enough? So the gender is feminine, the planet is Venus, the element is water, powers. Ritual uses. The elder was used in burial rites in ancient British long barrows. Everything is good. Thank you, Mario. So good to see you. As well as everyone else. Alright, the elder was used in burial rites in ancient British long barrows. It is sacred to many mother goddess figures due to its white flowers. Witches and spirits were thought to live within the elder. This is why it is bled red sap when cut. I did not know that. I'll have to ask Alex if he knows that. Before felling an elder, the following formula was recited. So I think that means before cutting it down. In my family, we would say before falling an elder, but they're saying before felling. Maybe that's the proper pronunciation. This formula was recited. Lady Elhorn, which we remember was one of the folk names, was Lady Elhorn. Give me thy wood, and I will give thee of mine. When I become a tree... Oh, and I will give thee of mine when I become a tree. So basically that's kind of saying, like, if one day you're a human spirit and I'm a tree spirit, I will gladly give of myself to you. Which I think is kind of beautiful, really. You don't hear that a ton. Or, I mean, I don't. I hadn't. This is recited kneeling before the tree prior to making the first cut and allows the witch or spirit within the tree time to vacate before you know. Magical uses. If worn, like worn, elder wards off attackers of every kind. Okay, so you guys, huge for your Book of Shadows. Sorry about that. Huge for your Book of Shadows. Attackers. So if you have a young lady in your life or anyone in your life that's out there on public transport, it's not a safe world, you know. And I'm not trying to be grim, and I'm not trying to, like, paint an unhealthy picture law of attraction wise. I'm just saying, wear these protection amulets so that you can go out there fully confident that nothing will happen. So mote it be. Right? Yeah, if worn, an elder wards off attackers of every kind. Hung over doorways and windows, it keeps evil from the house. It also has the power to force an evil magician to release any enchantments or spells they have cast against you. So I need to highlight that because lately my voice has been leaving, and I'm just wondering if that's not like working. You know, generally I can tell, but this one not so much. So the thing I'm highlighting is on page 108 to 109, and it is American Elder. It also has the power to force an evil magician to release any enchantments or spells they may have cast against you. Okay. And then I'll continue the reading here because there's actually 2 full pages in this book about the American Elder, which is great because as you can see, here's the page on American Elder, and as you can see, it looks just like what I've shown you here. But as far as how much information, look, you know, there's not a lot on each one, so there's quite a bit here on the American Elder. All right. The berries, when carried, protects against evil and negativity. Grown in the garden, Elder protects the household against the ravages of sorcery, and it shields it from lightning. To bless a person, place, or thing, scatter the leaves and berries of the elder to the 4 winds in the name of the person or object to be blessed. Then scatter some more elder over the person or object itself, and it is done. To lose a fever, poke an elder twig into the ground while keeping completely silent. Toothaches may be alleviated by chewing on an elder twig. So I'm going to put an elder twig over at my toothache altar right now, because I'll forget probably if I don't. And I just have like a little tooth altar in my room, which I've shown you guys many times. Hi, Otis. Hi, Otis. Alrighty. So, yeah, please do let me know if anything happens, like buffering. Doo-doo-boo-boo. To bless a person, place, or thing, scatter the leaves. We already said that. To lose a fever. Toothaches may be alleviated by chewing on an elder twig and then placing it into the wall while saying, "Depart, thou evil spirit." Toothaches were once thought to be caused by evil spirits. To prevent rheumatism, tie a twig of elder into 3 or 4 knots and carry in the pocket. And as you can see, when I tried to break that twig, it wouldn't break. I had to cut it with the scissors, right? So if you were to pluck all the leaves off of this, there would just be this very bendy twig underneath, which you could bend into a bunch of knots. It's not going to snap like a toothpick. It's, you know, it's not even fully dried, you know. If it was fully dried, sure, it would snap. So do this, you know. Right now I'm still like 4 days old, 5 days since it's been picked. The leaves are pretty much fully dried, but not the twigs or berries. Twigs or giggles. Okay, so here we go. This is a good one. Warts can be cured by rubbing them with a green elder twig, which a green twig means it's not been dried at all yet, like one that you just cut from the bush is a green twig. So warts can be cured by rubbing them with a green elder twig and then burying it to rot in the mud, the twig. Grown near the home, the elder gives prosperity to the household. And the sticks placed about the house protect against robbers and snakes. So there's another snake related herb for my, I'm always taking notes on anything snake related, whether it's snake repelling, snake enraging, whatever. Elder is used at weddings to bring good luck to the couple. It would look beautiful in a fresh bouquet of like a different variety of flowers, I believe. So used at weddings to bring good luck to the couple, and pregnant women kiss the tree for good fortune to the coming baby. There's like a little beetle crawling around on it. I'm just looking at it. Like, should I get it out of here? I think maybe I should. I'm just going to set it somewhere else. I'll release the bug outside. I just don't want it to crawl on me. That would be just a little bit scary. Okay, so elder, we talked about it being used at weddings. Place elderberries beneath your pillow if you have difficulty sleeping. So there's another good one for your Book of Shadows. That I would think then dried elderberries would be fantastic in a pillow for better sleep. Absolutely. You know, other things that could go in there. Lavender and valerian, chamomile, clary sage. What else, you guys? Mugwort, rose petals. Oh boy, if I knew how to sew with my brand new sewing machine I have, this is why I need roommates. I need a roommate that is great with tech. I need a roommate that can sew and a roommate that can, you know. These are my main goals. Alright, because I'm too old to learn anymore. I know what I know how to do, and I'll teach anybody how to do it, but I'm too old to learn these new things. Just kidding. Where are we? They will allow you to slumber peacefully. Carry elder to preserve you against the temptation to commit adultery. Okay? And in this day and age, with all the like cell phones and Snapchats and all of that, you know, for some people that is a really hard challenge, and you know, I don't blame you. It's difficult. So that could really help you trying to make yourself a better person. Or whatever. Let's see. Make flutes from the branches and call forth spirits with their music. Best done at midnight in a deserted place far from the haunts of humans. Many think it is dangerous to burn elder wood, and some gypsies strictly forbade the use of it as firewood. And that's probably because witches were said to have been spirits of those trees, right? So you wouldn't want to burn the spirit of a witch, right? I don't know, maybe that's why. So some gypsies strictly forbade its use as firewood. However, magicians have used its wood in fashioning magic wands for centuries. And then that's all we have. And that was loads out of Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia for Magical Herbs. And as you can see, that's a great picture of it. Looks just like the ones that I showed you that are now being occupied by that little old beetle. The next book that we're going to read from, and if you have children, you're just going to want to have them look away from the screen, I guess. I don't know what to say. We're going to read from this book, The Sexual Practices of the Druids, the Handbook for of Magic and Ritual by John G. Hughes. Now, I just looked through all my books, and if Elder or Elderberry came up, we're reading from it. And we've got 13 or 14 books here to read from, I think we've counted. And on page 49 of this book, in the chapter about magical tools for working Celtic sex magic rituals, it talks about elder. So this is in particular tools for working of Celtic sex magic rituals, elder. The associated characteristics are the elder is associated by the Celts with moon workings, the tree with the most powerful female influence. Got it? Elder. great note for your Book of Shadows. This is the true, the most powerful female influence. In the opinion of this author, at least. Druidess and female Celtic priestess always use elder, but other druids may also use it. Also, a fairy tree with a wealth of associated magical properties. Okay, so the other trees they talk about in here for the tools for working of Celtic sex magic rituals are apple, ash, beech, birch, cherry, elder, elm, hawthorn, hazel, holly, ivy, mistletoe, oak, pear, rowan, sycamore, willow, and yew. And so I just thought that I would add that in. That's some great information to know. And I do believe Black Moon Coven, if you watch this later and this is what you practice, because I listen to you all the time, if this is your kind of category, let me know, because I'd love to give you the rest of this list of these woods, if you're interested. I don't know. Okay. God, I gotta catch my breath. There is a heavy, heavy, heavy pressure right now, like that I feel personally in the universe. It's just like my lungs feel shallow. I don't feel like I can catch my breath at all. And I feel, and I've been doing all kinds of like, you know, stretching exercises to get my lungs all open. It's just that time of year, you know. Okay, so the next book we're talking out of is the Hearth Witch's Compendium, Magical and Natural Living for Everyday by Anna Franklin. Now, you guys know I'm not a super fan of this book, but I still have it. You know, it's gonna come in handy, and it has come in handy before, but I've never been super duper impressed with this. Hello, Thomas. I would like to pay a special thanks to Thomas right now and the rest of my Patreon members. Thomas, thank you for joining Patreon. Thomas joined as a vampire bat, which is awesome. Thank you. And you guys, even small donations really, really, really do help the channel. So thank you so much, Thomas. And again, the Patreon and my Etsy is in the description if you guys want to help contribute or donate. But there's never any pressure. Never, never any pressure. Okay, so Elder in the index must have popped up. Oh yeah, so there's loads of things that pop up, and I'm just going to read you all the things that come up in this book. We're not going to read through them, but it's good to know what's in here. Elderberry heartburn tea, elderberry jelly, elderberry rob, R-O-B. I don't know what elderberry rob is. Elderberry syrup, which I've heard of loads of times as being made for cough syrups. Elderberry wine. Elderflower champagne. So if Heather Foley is here, Joyce is here, yay. Do any of you know what is an elderflower? Is it the flower of the elderberries? What is elderflower? Is it something different than elderberry and elder altogether, or is it the flower of that? Hey Heather! So Heather, Joyce, and anybody else who knows the answer, but I'm just wondering. My question is, okay, so Madam Butterfly, the answer is yes. The elderflower is the only thing I have missing. Remy always knows. If it would be like a witch foundation, I would totally... Oh, Remy, no worries, hon. Don't worry about it. Elderflower is the flower that gets popped and makes the berry. Okay. Right. Right. So, like my passion flowers. Got it. So next year I want to make an effort to collect some elderflowers, or I'll find a space where I can have them. Alright, so I'm going to continue my reading on what else comes up in here. So a bunch of elderflower things. Elderflower champagne, which sounds amazing. Elderflower cleanser. Nice. I love making homemade cleaners. Elderflower cordial. Elderflower fritters. Elderflower hand cream. Elderflower refreshing bath bag. Elderflower wine. And that's a lot of things. There's like 12 or so things there on elderberry and elderflower. So this book does have like loads of like recipes as well as creams as well as cleaners, you know, all that kind of stuff. Alright, so next, I grabbed from a book that was just in my section of cooking. You know, I've just always had a passion with food, whether it be raw foods or, you know, macrobiotic foods or cleansing foods or superfoods. So this is the Spice and Herb Bible. And I just thought, why not look and see if there's anything in there? And yes, there absolutely was. So elder, and right next to it they've got elderflowers, which to me kind of look like lilacs a little bit when you dry them. So, and see here, they're just calling it elder. So there's a good picture of them. These look a lot more super fresh, and they look darker than the ones that I happen to get. And I'm sure that there are just hundreds of different varieties, just like there are with most fruits and berries and all of that. But I really don't know. Alright, so what do we have to say about elder? This book is written by Ian Hemphill, with recipes by Kate Hemphill. So it sounds like a brother and sister, or husband and wife. Other common names for the elder is black elder, boar tree, B-O-R-E, common elder, elderberry, and pipe tree. Botanical names, European elder and American elder. And then it has all the names in the other languages, which I'm not going to pronounce, but Dutch, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, and Swedish. In the flavor group, it falls under mild. And there's a little bit of reading here, so I guess I'll do that. Hold on a minute. Let's see how much. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, let's do some reading. Elder trees are not to be confused with the dwarf elder, or the Sambucus ebulus, which has fruit that is poisonous and violently purgative. The elder tree of culinary use is an attractive, vigorous growing tree that reaches 33 feet in height under favorable conditions. Because many cane-like shoots come up and spread out around the base, the appearance is often more hedge-like than tree-like. Elder trees have dark green spearmint-shaped leaves with finely jagged edges. When bruised, the leaves of elder have a nondescript, faintly grassy aroma. Elder flowers form in large, creamy white, flat-topped clusters over 3 inches in diameter that look as though they have been painstakingly crafted in lace and designed to support the hordes of bees working busily over them. These fresh flowers have a somewhat bitter taste and sweet aroma that is less than appetizing to some. However, after it is processed, so I bet it's really good in champagne, I would think. After it's processed into products such as elderflower cordial, the more pleasant attributes of elderflowers become apparent. After flowering, the very dark purple, almost black berries develop when fully ripe. Fresh elderberries should not be eaten raw, as they contain mildly toxic alkaloids that are somewhat bitter. A lot of my resources online were saying that a lot of people juice it and drink the juice raw. So do your research for sure, or ask your doctor, because I'm not a doctor. We're just reading out of books here, aren't we? The overall taste effect of fresh berries is not appealing. However, upon drying or cooking, the flavor becomes more agreeable and the toxicity is dissipated. So yeah, they're saying it's toxic, so I don't know why people would drink it raw, please do your research, you guys, or just cook it to be safe. The leaves should not be eaten at all, as they contain traces of cyanide. And I wanted to mention that because when we read out of the Drunken Botanist, I think that's where I read about cyanide. Okay. The origins and the history. The elder tree is native to Europe, North America, and Western Asia, and has been known since Egyptian times. There's hardly any other member of the plant kingdom that can rival the elder tree for superstition and diversity of uses for all its parts. The young shoots have a soft pith that is easily pushed out from a hollow tube, hence the name pipe tree. That's awesome, because then that means you could make a straw, you could use it to, I don't know, as like a little thing to shoot and hunt with. I'm just thinking a survivalist type of mindset, but hence its name pipe tree or boar tree. And these are used for making pipes, and the Old English herbalist Culpeper referred to their appeal to small boys who would make them into pop guns. See? Told ya. Living in my head. The close-grained white wood of old trees was polished and made into butcher's skewers, shoemaker's pegs, needles for weaving nets, combs, mathematical instruments, and even musical instruments, probably woodwind. That makes sense, like a flute type of thing. One theory that supports the plethora of superstition surrounding the elder tree is that the cross of Calvary was made of its wood. Perhaps it was this belief that made the elder tree a symbol of death and misfortune. Elder shoots were buried with the dead to protect them from witches, and were used in making hearse drivers as whips. In medieval times, hedge cutters would avoid attacking its rampant growth. Gypsies would not burn it on campfires, and in many parts of Europe it was associated with magic, especially black magic. It is somewhat puzzling that a tree with such a dark reputation should also have been used for practical, medicinal, and culinary purposes. A blue coloring substance from its berries has been utilized as a kind of litmus paper, and it turns green with alkalins and red with detecting acid. So that's interesting. Processing. Although the flowering season is relatively short, just a few short weeks in its native Europe, elder trees growing in the warmer parts of the United States may be in flower within a couple of months. The minute flower petals are used for making infusions such as elderflower cordials and herbal teas. In Europe, the elderflowers are picked in full bloom and then thrown into heaps where they are left to warm for a few hours. This loosens the petals, which are then separated from the stalks and stems by sifting. To dry your own elderflower, pick them early in the morning before the heat of the day has diminished their potency. Place the flower heads on clean paper in a warm, dark place for a few days. The berries are harvested when fully ripe and are used fresh in most cooking and processing applications, although they will sometimes be dried for later culinary use in much the same way as that currants are. Buying and storage. Elderflower herbal teas are sometimes available from health food stores, but it is very rare to see elderberries on sale, so one really needs to grow the tree themselves. It is quite attractive in the garden, and we remember all the lore of growing it in the garden. It would protect against lightning and evil, I think is what we read. But anyway, it's very, very attractive, and you could even grow it in a large tub or in the garden, which has the advantage of preventing it from running amok when you put it in the tub. Use. The most popular parts of the elder for culinary purposes are the flowers and berries. Both are used for making wines, although it is more common to use elderberries to color conventional wines, and especially port, included in Portugal, than to produce elderberry wine. Elderflowers make a refreshing drink when soaked in lemon juice overnight. Ooh! And the flower heads dipped in a light batter and then fried. Wow, that does sound amazing. Really does. Like as a garnish, you know. Make an unusual side dish. My mother has found the blossoms give a muscatel grape flavor to a gooseberry. Muscatel. Apple or quince jelly when tied in a muslin bag and then boiled in the fruit syrup for 3 or 4 minutes at the end of the cooking time. Elderberries, which taste a little like black currants, are made into conserves and jams. They will go well with apples and can be dried and put into pies as you would currants. Okay, so that's it. There's like an elderflower fool with pistachio biscotti, and I'm sure that there are more elderflower. Well, no, there's just one. So that was just a random book from my cooking section, and we had a lot to talk about elderberries in there. And it's cool because they talked about superstitions and lore that we read in our other book, you know, about growing the elder tree. So that was awesome. Alright, so next we're on to, let's see, what are we going to read from next? Let's do this one. So in the Plant Spirit Familiar book, which I have, it came up quite a few places. These are Green Totems, Teachers, and Healers on the Path of the Witch by Christopher Penczak. And this is a really, really great book. I like it a lot. If you haven't checked it out, you really should. So, elder comes up a few places. On page 35, they say, the mandrake was not the only plant attributed with spiritual powers, as many such plants were associated with the witch. Interestingly enough, there's a list of familiars with plant names from the 16th and 17th century witchcraft trials depicted in Jacob Grimm's Teutonic mythology. Okay. They include oregano, daisy, parsley, rue, elder, but in this book it would be called Hölderlin, H-O, a German O, L-D-E-R-L-I-N, Hölderlin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, I hope that I am. So yeah, those are that's what it mentions there. And then now we're on to page, I think page 110. Let me find it here. Page 111, Gateway to the Elder Queen. Probably the most difficult of all these gateways, and one to be approached with caution, is the gateway to the Elder Queen. Wiccan poetry says, Elder be the lady's tree, burn it not, or cursed ye be. There is much lore and prohibition around the elder, for it is the dark queen, the underworld white goddess, the fairy lady, who is in alignment with the elder tree. She is only to be visited when there is a reason for doing so. She can heal those who are gravely ill or ease their transition to the other world. She can initiate and bring wisdom, but she also asks a price. She forces you to face the dark, the cold, and your fear before you truly receive her blessings and gifts. Find an elder tree, ideally one standing alone rather than in a bunch. The season when this is attempted will alter your experience with it. Some believe the flowering time is when she, the gateway to the elder queen, is at her most gentle. But often things are opposite in the spirit world, our summer being their winter. So others would say that winter is when she may be most gentle. I like to approach her in the fall, when the flowers have turned to dark berries. Make sure to make your offerings to her at the base of the bush. Lie down beneath her with your head gazing up through the branches and leaves. That's one of my favorite ways to bond with any plant whatsoever, is if you can tuck under and look up through, with the sky being the backdrop behind that. I absolutely have loved that since I was a little girl. So make sure to make your offerings at the base of the bush. Lie down beneath her with your head gazing up through the branches and leaves. Allow the light to diffuse through it and put you into a relaxed state of consciousness. That's beautiful. Recite these or similar words. Blessed be the lady's tree, elder wise and elder key, dark eyes who only see, spirits fly and spirits free, white lady who generates life in death for you and me, 2 in 1 and 1 in 3. Please share with me your mysteries. Gracious lady of the elder tree, elder wise and elder key, open the way and come to me. Feel the goddess of the elder come to you. Communicate with her. Be direct in your intention. Talk little and listen much, for she has much to share and little patience or time. Don't miss opportunities by being too myriad, M-I-R-E-D, what's that word, myriad, in your expectations of how the meeting should be. Have intention for your visit, but be open to how it may manifest. When done, thank the elder spirit and say farewell. Ground yourself and return to normal consciousness. That was fantastic. So, again, you guys, if you haven't checked out this book, it is pretty expensive. $20, $19.99. But again, this has helped me with my Rose of Jericho. This has helped me with Mandrake. This has helped me with quite a few things that you wouldn't expect it to at all. It's very much helped me with Elder so far. So check thrift books. Check thrift books for this. Definitely, positively, I adore that book. And look at the cool art on the front. And here are some other, plant spirit familiars. It does talk about psilocybin and some other things there. It's very, very cool. All right, next we're going to talk out of The Magical Year, which is a book I got at like a thrift, not thrift books, half-price books, where I just go into the alchemy section or the religion sections or the herbalism sections or witchcraft sections if they've got one. Those are kind of the categories that I go down. Mired meets bogged down or stuck. Okay, I'm mired at the moment. Mired. Is it mired? Mired? I don't know, you guys. All right. So, Elder is gonna appear somewhere right here. Let me find out where it is. Oh, they give you a recipe for an elderflower cordial. It's got white sugar, boiling water, lemon zest, elderflower heads, rinsed and shaken to ensure there are no insects, 5 tablespoons or citric acid to preserve. It's optional. A muslin cloth and sterilized bottles. Anyway, ooh, dandelion fritters. This book is pretty cool. It's got some really interesting magical year foods. This is by Danu Forest. Is that right? Danu Forest. Okay. Next, we're going to read out of The Drunken Botanist, which is like a swamp bog. Okay, swamp or bog. Gotcha, Thomas. I gotcha. Okay, so elderberries. And elderflower. So, okay, here's a good part. Is sambuca made from sambucus? Was anyone wondering that? If that was it? Because when we said the plant's name, it was sambucus. Were you guys wondering? Because now we've got the Drunken Botanist out. We're going to find out. Here we go. Sambuca is an anise-flavored Italian liquor that is lovely all by itself after dinner. Ignore that nonsense about soaking coffee beans in Sambuca and lighting it on fire. Just pour a little in a glass after dinner and sip it like an adult. In addition to its overwhelmingly licorice flavor, it can also get a note of fruity complexity from elderberries. Some black sambucas derive their rich midnight purple from the crushed skins of elderberries, whereas others are artificial colors. But it is the flat-topped cluster of... oh, wait, oops. So, yes, and then they give you like an elderberry cordial. Talking about elderberries. Although elderberry are used to make jam, wine, and cordial, they can be mildly toxic. All part of the plant contain a cyanide-producing substance along with other toxins. Even the berries should be harvested only when they are completely ripe. North American species of elderberries, including Sambucus racemosa, S. canadensis, and others, may be more toxic than S. nigeria, the species that flourishes in English hedgerows. Cooking the berries helps reduce these toxins. So we're going to confirm that right there. And it says reduce, not eliminate. So please know that. And also I was reading, and we'll get to it in these medical books, and we're not doctors here, we're just reading from books, that you want to use it in small amounts because it does build up in the body, from what I understand, from what my reading has been telling me. Okay. Elderberries tolerate all but the coldest of climates, surviving winter temperatures as low as negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. They are shallow-rooted and prefer a top dressing of compost and balanced fertilizer every spring, as well as a regular water in summer. To keep a bush fruitful, cut back all the canes and branches more than 3 years old in winter and early spring. Dead or deceased canes should be removed as well. And again, all that stuff you can use for your witchcraft workings when you're cleaning up your plants. When Alex cleans up our plants, he brings it to me, and I take almost all of it. I forage all that stuff for my workings, so I can share with you guys too. Dead or deceased canes should be removed as well. York and Kent are two popular varieties. I'm guessing that's in the UK. But find one that works best in your region. The imbibing elderflowers. Elderflower liquors like Saint Germain or homemade cordials mix well with almost everything, adding floral and honey notes without ever seeming cloying. Here are a few ways to try it. Add a splash to champagne. Float a yellow viola on the top. Mix with a martini, a half ounce each of elderflower liqueur, cordial, and chartreuse, the green variety if you're brave, the yellow if you are not. Place in place of the vermouth. Garnish with a lemon peel. Or use soda and elderflower liqueur as a substitute for tonic in a gin and tonic, and add a squeeze of lemon instead of lime. And that's what we've got out of the Drunken Botanist. There was more to be read in there, just so you know. There was more on both to be read in there. But we've got quite a lot to read from. So I've got a book here that is called Medicinal Plants of the Pacific Northwest. And this has got this whole United States coast, all the way from Canada down to Mexico. Okay, that whole coast area. See? So that's fantastic. And what does it say about elderberry? And this is the Sambucus spp. Distribution southwest Alaska to the middle of Baja California and eastwards. Parts used, flowers and leaves. And this is again for medicinal. Okay. Preparation: the flowers standard infusion 2 to 4 fluid ounces, leaves standard infusion 1 to 2 fluid ounces, either up to 4 times a day. Herb uses: a simple alternative diaphoretic, especially when combined with peppermint and pennyroyal. With no fever, it is an excellent diuretic for simple water retention, to dilute urine in cystitis. References. Oh, then references. Okay, so that's what it's got under the supplemental herb list in this book. And then lastly, we'll be reading from this book and talking about a couple things. I've had this book, I think, since I was like 17, right around there. And it is called the Herbal Handbook, a User's Guide for Medical Herbalism by David Hoffman. I brought this out a few times, and I can say that I like it. It doesn't cover everything. I wish it did. It's just not a big enough book. But for Elderberry, for Elder, on page 27 it says, and this is under the anti-catarrhal. I'm going to spell it. ANTI-CATARRHAL. What is an anti-catarrhal? I'll just tell you that first. It says the anti-catarrhal helps, herbs help the body to remove excess catarrhal buildups, whether it is the sinus area or other parts of the body. They are used mainly in the ear, nose, and throat infections, but have an essential role in to play in many broader based treatments throughout the body. Okay, so that's what that is, that weird word that we didn't know. And one of these herbs are elder, the Sambucus nigra, Nigra. Parts used: the bark, flowers, berries, and leaves. The collection: the flowers are collected in spring and early summer and dried as rapidly as possible in the shade. The bark and berries are best collected in August and September. Constituents: flowers, flavonoids including rutin, isochorofactane, and camphorol. These are just a bunch of words I'm not understanding, but samburbine, tannins, essential oil, mucilage. Okay, berries, invert sugar, fruit acids, tannin. It goes through and says, you know, a bunch of stuff that's in there. Actions. There's also in the berries vitamin C and P, like P as in pennyroyal. There's anthocyanin pigments, traces of essential oils. The actions: bark is a purgative, emetic, and a diuretic. A diuretic helps you pee. Leaves, externally emollient and voluntary, including as purgative, expectorant, diuretic, and diaphoretic. The flowers, diaphoretic and anti-catarrhal. Berries, diaphoretic, diuretic, laxative. Indications. So when would you want to use this? The elder tree is a veritable medicine chest by itself. The leaves are used primarily for bruises, sprains, wounds, and chilblains, spelled Chilblains. It has been reported that elder leaves may be useful in an ointment for tumors. Elder flowers are ideal for the treatment of cold and influenza. They may be used quite safely in any catarrhal inflammation of the upper respiratory tract, such as hay fever and sinusitis. Catarrhal deafness responds well to elder flowers. Elderberries have similar properties to the flower, with the addition of their usefulness in rheumatism. Combinations: for colds and fevers, it may be used with peppermint, yarrow, or hyssop. For influenza, combined with boneset. For catarrhal states, mix it with goldenrod and wild indigo. Preparation and dosage: infusion: pour a cup of boiling water into 2 teaspoonsful of the dried herb blossoms and leave to infuse for 10 minutes. This should be drunk hot 3 times a day. Juice: boil fresh berries. Okay, guys, so when we juice it, it says right here in this medicinal book, boil fresh berries in water for 2 to 3 minutes, then express the juice. To preserve, bring the juice to a boil with 1 part honey and 10 parts of juice. Take 1 glass of diluted with hot water twice a day. Ointment. Take 3 parts of fresh elder leaves and heat them with 6 parts of melted Vaseline. I would try coconut oil. Until the leaves are crisp. Strain and store. Coconut oil will crisp up leaves. Alright, so that's what we got out of there. And that was our last book that we had to read from. I would like to show you guys something. I'm wondering, I missed some reading somewhere, and I have no idea where. It must be in here, because it, my notes from the internet, that's what it was. So I took notes from the internet as well as my 12 or 13 books we just read from. And I have to read you the notes from the internet, because that's what's going to segue me to talking about these, okay? So I watched a couple of YouTube videos, and then I just took some information I thought was reputable, okay? Do you guys know who Dr. Sebi is? Dr. Sebi, S-E-B-I. Okay. If you don't know who he is, well, if you're part of, like, raw foods and veganism, but particularly raw foods, and you research that on YouTube, you probably know who Dr. Sebi is. But if you don't, definitely look him up. I adore what he has to say about foods. And if you've researched, like, high alkaline diets, low acidic diets, then Dr. Sebi's, like, he's in that whole gig of, like, finding the best nature, especially if raw foods if you can, in the high alkaline diet. Okay. So here's what Dr. Sebi says about elderberries and the plant itself. Where he's at, they call it the Sauco. The Sauco. And, he has a 2-minute video. It's a little over 2 minutes up on YouTube if you were to search Dr. Sebi and elderberry. He says it's the mineral of, well, iron phosphate is what's inside of it. It's the mineral of iron. Okay, in humans, it's hard to understand him, but in humans reverse a lot of disease. Oh, iron phosphate reverses a lot of disease in humans that are in the blood, because the blood itself contains iron phosphate, okay? When elderberry's roots hit the ground, it converts to a liquid digestible substance known as iron trophosphorus, or the conversion from a solid to a liquid. Here, Mother Nature has converted iron, which is a solid, to a berry, where you can then absorb that iron, okay? To a liquid state in a berry for you to enjoy. The flowers, so elderflower, they're a beautiful white on a bush. Again, looked like I showed you pictures of them. They're rich in iron that can reverse blood conditions, reduce fevers, and reduce inflammation. The flower has a different chemistry, though, so it has potassium phosphate. The flower is given to children with fevers to remove fever, because fever means that inflammation is sitting somewhere in the body. And the flower is extremely effective because of iron and potassium phosphate. And that was the Sauco. And those were my notes from Dr. Sebi's video, but I definitely suggest you check out his videos on anything. I do appreciate his opinions, but lately I haven't been fond of dropping names of people I adore, because the feedback hasn't been that great, and it's just like, okay, that's fine, you know. That's fine. So then I looked up a video called The Top 7 Surprising Health Benefits, and so I thought I'd read that to you. Oh, in reflection of Dr. Sebi's video, I just wanted to say, if you have Rh positive blood, your blood has an iron base. If you have Rh negative blood, your blood is a copper base. But if you are positive blood, then the elderberry would be a great thing for you to do if you were able, of course, to cook those toxins out of it, okay? Because it is rich in iron, and especially for women when they're menstruating and losing blood, and iron, if you're positive, then that would be a great thing to add that back in so that you might not have other side effects. Like what I've heard that, and I'm not a doctor, but I've heard that women can become anemic from, losing blood and things like that, not getting the nutrients put back into the body. So, but let's say you can't get elderberry, but you're like, how do I get these metals into my body, these ones that are good for my body? Well, I use colloidal silver to help with my dental issues and things like that. You can also get this very same brand, the souvenirs, whatever. What's the brand name? I don't know. But this very same brand, which I trust. And you can get it in copper and gold and all kinds of metals you can get this in. So check that out. You can get platinum if you're trying to get those metals into your body. So that being said, and if you were like, well, what can I do for copper? Sesame seeds have high amounts of copper. Well, for food, high amounts of copper in them. So sesame seeds are a great way to get copper into your body. All right. Next, top 7 surprising health benefits of elder. Number 1, the ability to boost the immune system function. Protects against bacteria and infection. Slows the spread of cancer. Again, this is from a video, you guys. Moderate the digestive process, prevent the development of diabetes, lower the pain and speed associated with autoimmune diseases, help with weight loss, lower blood pressure, and alleviate allergies. Traces of cyanide. So important to note that these have traces of cyanide that can build up in the body and potentially be hazardous. So use only when needed. Of course, everyone knows if you built up enough cyanide in the body, it would be fatal, okay? I think we've all, well, if you didn't know, I mean, it can, okay? But elderberries have loads of dietary fiber, helps lower gas and constipation, helps you absorb more of the minerals and vitamins out of food. It increases your potassium intake. It's amazing for throat and respiratory system. It soothes inflammation. Elderberry juice is recommended for those with asthma, but remember, cook the juice for 1 to 2 minutes before you juice it. It's an antioxidant. It improves bone health and also improves joint pain. For skincare, it's got antioxidants, which we know are good for the skin, and it's got vitamin E. It's great to lower wrinkles and give skin a glow. Weight loss. It has fiber and it improves your general health. It's not suggested to eat ones you forage. The video suggests finding a store that you trust to ask, like a health food store or Whole Foods. Go from there. It acts as a diuretic, just so that you know, which we already talked about. So that was awesome. Let's see. Let's move on to this one. So tequila, and this is probably one of the first things I made of tequilas. It's a never get sick daily tincture that if you have a little bit during the winter time, like a couple of, like a little dropper, like I'll just show you the dropper that I use. This is a really, 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 really simple tincture, and I want to share it with you guys if you've not seen the one she does, because it's so bloody easy. So what I do is I just, like, these types of things you get and you pay like sometimes $30 for one bottle, sometimes 12, but sometimes 30. But these droppers, I'll just have a dropper full like once a day, every morning, during cold and flu season. And basically, when it's, before you shake it, and you shake it every time before you use it, it's just got this settlement of kind of the herbs. And what I used for this tincture instead of an alcohol base was what tequila had used, which was apple cider vinegar, like Bragg's with the mother probiotic. So once you shake it, it's just all one color. And I let that soak for longer than she suggested because I made a huge batch of it. I wanted enough to last the whole year. And it tastes good. Like, it doesn't taste bad at all. The elderberry makes it taste really good. All I did was soak elderberries that were dried and echinacea in Bragg's apple cider vinegar, and then I strained out the herbs like 4 months later. And, you know, it's awesome. So I made like 4 or 5 jars of this, and I absolutely adore it. So, and there's one other thing I made of hers, except I kind of jazzed it up, but I really adore it, and it's her oil pulling with the coconut oil, and I can't remember what else she put in hers, but I put in like orange zest, clove, nutmeg, all the things that would be medicinally good for dental health, cinnamon, orange mint, a bunch of stuff, and then you just like stir it up, do oil pulling. But yeah, Tequila made that on her channel, and I like that. So drained and so tired, you guys, but I'm really hoping that we get a chance for me to take a little rest, like, not like sleep rest, but just relax my voice and my, possibly cut off this hair for all of eternity. But no, I would like to read you guys Backwoods Witchcraft because it's been like 2 or 3 days. And, it's starting with it's kind of like muggy here as well. And losing Chloe this morning was just like, I can't even say, like, poor Alex. That's Alex's kitty, you know. So this chapter 4 that we're going to be starting with, called Soup, Beans, and Cornbread, is all about ancestor veneration, and it's a short chapter, so honestly I don't see why we couldn't get it done. It's like 5 pages, so there's a good chance that we'll be reading this really soon this evening. However, I do want to share with you guys that I got so many awesome pinup books on the way, and I just dismembered a Betty Page book that is so cool, and I'm going to be getting 2 Betty Page decks out of it. For those of you who are, you know, I sent you guys the video of Betty Page dancing. It's so awesome. I love those videos of her. But for those of you who watched that video, I mean, it just made my day. And there's just this utter beauty to her, because it's not dirty at all. It's just very simple. That video was her helping her friend get dressed in the morning. Nobody was nude. Nobody was, you know, kissing, nothing. It's just this simple, utter beauty of the female form. And I think Betty Page really did a good job at honoring that. And I also want to talk about Betty Page sometime and just talk about a video about her. Do you guys know when she disappeared after her Playboy spread? She just did that to be like closer to spirituality and closer to God and start a family and have kids and all this stuff. And she didn't even know there was this whole Betty Page revival and that people were looking for her, and because she just kind of like went on to have like a normal life. She was like, I'm done, you know, and wanted to do this stuff for her. And I just think that's amazing. And she never showed what she looked like, because she didn't find out till 25 or so years later that there was this whole like cult following of her. And there were people drawing pictures of her and like these amazing Betty Page artists all over the place. And so when she did finally resurface, she didn't show what she looked like. She really wanted people to remember her for what she did look like before, and I totally get that. Because how would you feel if, like, there was never a slow progression. Like Elizabeth Taylor, you know, aging, because we can see every picture. But if you didn't see a picture, you saw a picture of her 25 years ago and then when she was 75, like, I wouldn't let my picture be out either, but I do a ton of interviews. That would be so fun. You could wear masks everywhere. That would be so fun. So yeah, that's what's up. That's what's going on. I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about. I do feel a little bit like I have more energy. Sorry it's been so long. I just been trying to work and trying to pump out some really good products and yeah, make some money to support myself and be, you know, independent lady and all of that. So appreciate you guys. I appreciate you joining. And when I come back on later, if I go on again tonight, my guess is it would be about half an hour to an hour. We'll be reading Chapter 4 of Backwoods Witchcraft by Jake Richards. And I know a lot more of you just recently got this book, so that's super exciting. I won't be lighting a candle for Chloe on the channel because I just can't. I just can't do that. But if you guys personally want to light a candle for her, I would love that energy to be sent our way. That loving, healing energy to be sent our way. So that's about all. Thanks for joining me, Jen the Taxidermy Jen the Taxidermy Watch. Why not? Well, we talked about elderberries, elderflowers, elder twigs, elder leaves, elder crosses, elder. So many things. And it's absolutely divine. Have a beautiful day, you guys. And I'll see you back next time. Bye. Take care and love each other. Be kind to one another. Be kind.